The regular pattern of blame game and buck passing bedeviling the system here in Nigeria is trailing the ongoing strike by the academic staff of universities, ASUU. The federal government has refused to take the blame for the 1-month strike. The Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, absolved the government of any blame, but accused the lecturers of avoiding negotiation. Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Ngige, has faulted the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, for blaming him for the strike, saying they are ignorant of the facts. But first, let's hear from the Minister of Education.
There is a solution. The negotiation that has been going on is the solution. And that is why I told you I'm so surprised that ASUU has gone on strike. They submitted a draft agreement which the ministry is looking at. The committee is looking at it. Immediately it finishes, the government will announce what it has accepted of that. Then suddenly I had them going on strike.
Wow, Adamu, it's been a while.
Good to see him again.
Again, it's been a while. He has been very quiet. Yeah, you normally see his Minister of State, Honorable, forgotten his name. It's from the East, from Imo State. Not from Imo State. But then, actually, now it was avoidable that they went embarked on this 1-month strike. We've been talking about it since December, that we should not allow this to happen. And surely, like the government will always do, it degenerated, and you can guess what will happen in the next 1 month. That they might not sit down at the same table or agree on everything.
As I've said repeatedly, they are not asking that all those demands be met. That's not the demand for now. They are saying just meet 2. That is UTAS as well as renegotiation of the wages of academic staff. That's the 2009 agreement. They said renegotiate it and agree to UTAS. They said if they can do those 2, they are ready. They are not talking about those multiple demands. So they are saying to avoid this strike, agree to those 2 demands. So they've created a situation whereby any objective person looking at this issue will say, just 2 demands. Shouldn't be difficult to handle. But you want to subordinate, you want to subject academic staff to the same principle, to the same payment platform that governs the civil service, the federal civil service generally. But they are saying that, look, the academic environment is different. And everyone knows that it is different. Because IPPIS is not flexible enough, you then ask them to come up with alternative. They came up with alternative in form of UTAS. You subjected it to test. After a long while, you agreed that yes, this UTAS can work.
Good for them.
But now, when it came to implementing, you are refusing to implement. You set up the Musalin Jibrin committee. You said, Musalin, you are a former executive secretary of Universities Commission, and you see, go and negotiate with your colleagues. He negotiated with them, brought his findings, because those were part of the demands that ASUU made, which culminated in the Memorandum of Action of December 2020, which made ASUU to call off the strike back then. So look at, we've had to deal with this issue, we've had a whole year. Let's be sincere to ourselves. We've had a whole year since the Memorandum of Action was signed and ASUU called off a strike, December 2020. We are still on this issue now. And Madam Adamu Adamu is telling us that, that they were still looking at the draft, that there was a draft agreement, they were looking at it, while they were looking at it, suddenly these people went on strike. What? If were you communicating with them? The answer is no. When these guys were threatening to go on strike, clerics,
following it.
including the Sultan, waded in. They said, no, we will talk to government.
I remember.
They said they will talk to government. Till today, nobody has gone back to them among those clerics to say, okay, we met with government, this is what government wanted. Now you are giving us the impression that they don't want to negotiate. Based on what are you telling us that they don't want to negotiate? Then how long does it take to implement ideas? December 2020 was when they called off, when they suspended the strike. Let me not use the word call off, because they actually suspended, they didn't call off. So why has it taken this long? They said that they went on strike at the time government was attending to their demands. How? What is the evidence that you are already attending to those demands? He needs to explain more.
Why is the Minister of Labour and Employment crossed with the National Association of Nigerian Students?
Honestly, I don't even understand that, man.
No, they went to protest
yes,
in
I
his
know
office.
what they
So
did now. No, that's what I'm saying. When I say I don't understand, the NANS, they have the right to protest because it's their future that is at stake. And they were right to go on that protest. They are the ones that are suffering. Now, I keep wondering what the problem is in this country. See, there are two sectors that we must not allow to suffer in this country: the health sector and the education sector. By now, we should be talking of how to reposition our universities to solve new problems. How can our lecturers, how can they embark on research? How can they get provide solutions to some of the problems we have? Look at the terrorism challenges. Universities should be at the forefront of providing what solutions. But how will they sit down to, do all of this when they are still fighting over end allowances that are not paid? We're talking about an agreement that was made in 2009, 2022. And you are saying the strike is illegal. That's Christian Ngige saying that the crisis is illegal, is this, is that. Not to hear all of this. Let us change the narrative for the first time. These people are not asking for too much. We're in a country where agberos that are empowered by politicians are earning millions. And then you have professors. How much are professors? How much are they earning in this country? How much is the graduate assistant earning in this country? How much is lecturer 1 earning, lecturer 2 earning? So these people are asking, they're not asking for too much. Now, see, all these things they are saying will not work. They can threaten. When has their threat ever worked? So this strike is something that could have been avoided. For me, I'm not going to blame ASUU. The next thing you're going to hear now is that NASU also goes on strike. The next thing you hear that, what's the name of that? SANU. SANU goes. Then they work for polytechnics. What do you call them? ASUU. Why?
No, they will cripple the
education sector. And you're supposed to spend, a child is supposed to spend 4 years in university, 4 sessions. He's spending 5.
It's not guaranteed now for public schools.
Public schools is happening.
I talked about one boy who spent 3 extra years in the university. And he applied for a job. They capped the age at 27. He applied for that job at 30.
Let's quickly go on this break and we'll be right back.
So if they had not gone on strike, he will have met that age criteria. He lost 3 years.
All right, we'll be right back. So welcome back. Jide, reaching home stretch now. Let's talk about solution.
The solution is for Senator Ngige to call ASUU and meet with them. He was telling the students that, look, I'm not the employer of academic staff of universities. It's the Federal Ministry of Education. That he is only the conciliator. It's like the go-between who helps to bring them together and achieve some resolution.
Well, he negotiated with the doctors too.
Yes, so he's saying it's not the, he gets emotional over these matters. He's saying that it's not the employer. It's true that the Ministry of Education is the employer, but as the Minister of Labour, this issue is labor related. As the Minister of Labour, you are the one to lead the negotiation on these matters. how will anybody know? He also defended himself that the memorandum of action signed in December 2020, it is not true that he has not done anything about it. But if you are doing something about it, people also need to know that you are taking steps. I know that his hands are tied because these issues revolve around money. Ngige may have his own way of solving this problem, but it all revolves around money. And his own ministry is not amongst the wealthy ministries. Which contract does he give, for example? So I can understand his frustration at times, but as a father, he also has to do his best, get all these contending groups to come together, come to a round table. Let's solve this problem in the interest of public universities and our children.
And the beauty of it is that I've even seen his children graduating from these public universities. At least I've seen two.
Well,
so
it's good for him. But I think good for him. But I think the unions have trust issues now. You know, because many times government has promised you will do this, we will do that, and then they go back to work in good faith, and then the same story, the cycle continues. So we have to find a way of stopping it from continuing. You know, we can't afford this in our education sector.